Hi, I'm Matias Myllyrinne, Managing Director of Remedy, so I head the studio. The first game that really blew me away was, I didn't believe that it was actually just a home console. I saw a game on a PlayStation 1, I think it was a Formula 1 game in 1995 or 96. And I was going like, unbelievable, we're not even in an arcade. And you know, that for me was the large jump where I realized what games could be. I mean, prior to that, I played the hell out of games as a kid. But you know, in my kind of older teens, seeing something like that going, wow. And that was just mind-boggling, because I thought that you always needed this huge cabinet to get into that. And you know, I put a ton of money into the Sega Rally games back in the day, and sitting there, you know, that was my preferred Friday night. You know, I was single, and kind of sad, but it was fun. I think there's a lot of serendipity in how I ended up getting into games. I went to school with a guy whose brother was working at Remedy, and I've done a whole different career in London at that point in time, and went back to school to do my MBA and to kind of get a grown-up's job as you have it, and so I had this wonderful opportunity to go to work for a large international company in Germany to do real work in a three-piece suit. And then I had this opportunity to go to Remedy, and I spoke to the guys, I met them, and it was a red pill, blue pill kind of moment. You know, you can have your parents' acceptance and a proper career, or you could, you know, hang out with guys who are making a game, you know, and at that point in time, a lot of risk, not very good pay, and certainly, you know, kind of, it was anything but a sure bet. But I took that bet. And luckily, it's worked out very well. So that's in 1999. I joined Remedy, and Max Payne had been already in the works for maybe 2 years already, and it was just around the corner. And of course, then 2 years later, in 2001, it finally shipped and became the success that we all know today. You know, the founders of Remedy and the guys around that, you know, kind of who had started the company, who held the shares. They gave me a lot of responsibility. I came in and originally to do what they called business development, and then like 2 or 3 months into it, they realized I wasn't developing business, I was actually building the basic infrastructure of the company. It wasn't developing, you were running it, so to speak. And then I moved on from there to take responsibility for all the business affairs, and then, you know, we had the Max Payne movie deal, we had a lot of the, you know, publishing deals and taking care of the relationships, and of course when we sold the intellectual property to Take-Two and so forth. But gradually took on more responsibility, and now in 2008 we reorganized so that I head the studio, and it's been a very good ride, and I appreciate the trust that and the faith that they've put into me. So in that respect, it's been very good, and you know, you need to repay that trust by not sucking. So. First, I did my bachelor's in business, but mostly focused more on marketing and market research. So I studied a bit in Finland, in the Helsinki School of Economics, and then in Aston University in the UK. And it was a very difficult time at that point in time to find jobs. I mean, Finland had the worst recession ever. At that point in time, I worked in London for a while in hotels, believe it or not. So I ended up at the end of it being a duty manager in a 5-star hotel in Kensington, meeting all kinds of, you know, rock stars and heads of state. So, you know, one day you'd meet Buster Rhymes, and the next day you'd meet Jacques Chirac, and it was a good school. You learned to deal with a lot of different personalities, and you could have like 300 staff during a function and so forth. So it was really wild and very fast paced. Well, anyway, I didn't want to go and do that. For the rest of my life. I wanted to do something else. So, you know, all due respect, marketing just felt a bit flaky to me. So I wanted to have something concrete skill set. So I went back to Helsinki. I was dating my now wife at that point in time. I wanted to move back from London, and I went and did my MBA in finance. And a lot of that was, I was focused more on kind of just churning the numbers and making things work and so forth. And that was more of an absolute science. Either the numbers add up or they don't add up, and you know, and so forth. So that was really I think it's a good background, and maybe those are the two things that I understand. I understand money, and I understand people and creative people. So when I got the opportunity to work with smart, talented people who are really good at what they do, I really enjoyed that. And it was more, you don't need to motivate them, you don't need to kind of give them, I think it's more about directing their passion and their vision. There's always the eternal debate, is it business with a bit of art, or is it art with a bit of business? I'm going to take a bit of a cop-out from that. I'm going to take a few steps back and say what really drives us and drives me is we want to entertain the most amount of people in the best possible way. So really the two things that we do look at are our review scores and how well we're doing. So what's the Metacritic? And then two is units sold and how many people are putting down their hard-earned cash to buy our games. On the other hand, I think we always put it is art and it is entertainment. But for us to be able to continue to do these things and to be able to do new games and new franchises, we need to be making money. So in that respect, it's a business. And we need to look at it from that perspective. So I play a lot of games, but I also try to get away from games every now and then. So I don't necessarily take, my 360 does not travel with me when we take a vacation. I might take the DS for the flights and so forth, but it's a different kind of gaming. So for holidays, I try to get away. We're in Finland, right? And Finland during January and February, and I'm not doing the tourist board any favors, but January and February, around the cold and dark winter months, Helsinki's not a terribly nice place to be. So I try to get away during the winters if I can. Well, obviously this year it wasn't possible because we were just wrapping up Alan Wake. So try to get into a nice warm place with the family and just chill and enjoy good food and so forth. I do quite a bit of sports. I mean, this is it's not self-evident, but you need to have a counterbalance. You need to be able to kind of take care of yourself also physically. So working out, running, or playing squash or whatever. It's also a social activity, but it also gets you out and about. For example, right now I've been traveling for pretty much all of February. And if all you did was think about games and work on games, and that really wouldn't. I think on the longer term it's not sustainable. So I'm in it for the long haul. So I want to take care of myself as well. My favorite genre is, I'm playing vanilla on this, but I like first-person shooters, military shooters. For me, they're very different from some of the games that we create, because we're more into story and narrative, and we have our action bits. But a first-person shooter for me is something I can play for 45 minutes, zone out, and I can switch it off and then come back to it, because I'm playing more and more in fragments, as opposed to being able to binge for hours on end. So something like Modern Warfare, playing that online. Actually, I had to cancel my gold subscription now when we were shipping Alan Wake, so that I wouldn't be playing Modern Warfare 2 online all the time. I need my sleep. But I love that. I love some of the old strategy games, so I'll play even something like Panzer General 2 or something like, turn-based or stuff like that. So I think, those were really nice. Back in the day, I played a lot of Day of Defeat. I played a bit of Counter-Strike. It wasn't as good as I should have been. But I mean, those are the types of games that really were really awesome. And 1942 was revolutionary when it came out. I mean, that shut down our office for a week. And the whiteboards were used for tactics, and the guys would team up and use the kind of the phone system to communicate with each other. They were pretty good. I think we dominated Finland for about a month, until the 12-year-olds had more time to practice than we did. I wish we would be able to take a more longer-term view on the development process, because a lot of the publishers are listed companies, and listed companies by default operate with quarterly earnings, and really their kind of earnings estimates are driving a lot of things. So games need to ship during a certain quarter to meet those shareholder expectations and so forth. Whereas if they could really look at investing into these games on the longer term and not necessarily push them out to get the portfolio, this year we must ship 3 products. This year we must ship 16 products or whatever. But if they could take a longer term view on that and then do the right things for the games as opposed to managing their income statement, I think we'd see better games out there. My grandmother would read me the fairy tales from Hans Christian Andersen, as a kid, and those would the images would be vivid in my head, and I could picture like these different stories, and it was almost like having a cartoon in your head. So those stories and that kind of imagination and those memories are still there. And sometimes you look back and you hope that as you grow up you don't lose that power of imagination. I think I'd love to do something with working with social media and how that connects to business, in a non-cheesy way, but using social media to kind of provide value for both the companies and the individuals. And I think we're having stuff there that Facebook is a wonderful move, and I'm sure that somewhere in there there's awesome services that you could think of in your mind, like these little widgets that would provide value for all of us. And you play around with those ideas. I'd like to do something in that space, something that made business sense but also made people happy. So I don't know how I'd phrase that exactly, but maybe it's something to do with a startup in social media side of things. I don't know. I think being an auditor, an auditor is somebody who found accountancy too exciting. I do listen to a bit of Finnish rap music every now and then, and there's a good artist there called Asa. He does a lot of social commentary in his rap, and it's funny that you can view society in very different ways, and he's very left-wing, and he sees the harsher side of Finland, which I've never really imagined that exists, but apparently somewhere in the suburbs these things are happening. And I listen to that, and I'm jokingly, I'm driving in my comfortable car to our office and listening to him complain. But I mean, he's very insightful, and he's a lot of good social commentary. So he's a good artist, and it speaks to me. But I have to say that kind of my younger days, I was a big hard rock fan, and I've gone to all the AC/DC concerts and see Motley Crue various times and so forth. So I'd have to say, if I ever got to meet somebody, would be like, I'd like to see the now older guys of Motley Crue and see how insane they really are in person. I played in a heavy metal band called Backlash, 6 gigs into it. Perkele. And there's a saying, it means Satan or devil or whatever, in Finnish. And that kind of, I think, summarizes many conversations. You go, perkele. But you go on, you curse, and a lot of when you meet hardship or things aren't going exactly the way you want, it's the guys who can swear but they keep on digging that make this industry tick. It's the ones who stop shoveling and start whining that don't make this industry tick.